You know, Norman Lear just passed away, 101.
What a life.
Man, what a remarkable guy. TV writer, producer. What he did with television was amazing. He really built in the TV sitcom. And remember, this is the early 70s. You're coming out of a sort of, if I can say, typical TV sitcom. And they weren't bad. You had the Dick Van Dyke Show. Mary Tyler Moore was on that, and then her show came. Mary Tyler Moore's show came later in the 70s. But I mean, I don't, you know, those 50s and 60s, Father Knows Best, all of that stuff, with the laugh track and which is fine, but the idea somehow that there was more of a limited form in the TV sitcom at that time. And then Norman Lear came along, and it exploded in two things that I think are important. One is the socio-political commentary that was built into all the Norman Lear shows. And the human condition, okay, is also a part of that. And then this is what people forget. All of the shows were insanely funny. They were so funny. I mean, it was another level of funny. It's tough to imagine that you could do both, that you could somehow handle the socio-political human condition stuff and also make your show incredibly funny. He did in show after show. I mean, All in the Family started it. And then after that, you had, you know, the Jeffersons and Maude and Good Times. And these are, you know, more and more. Albert, do you have a little bit of the conversation with Norman Lloyd? This ran on that CBS Sunday morning show, and it's a good little, it's just only a minute long. But go ahead, Albert, if you would, please.
It's another day? How about it? Another day to wake up and look around and see light, to stand to the side or behind an audience laughing and watch them, their bodies, couple of hundred people as one, when something makes them laugh. I don't think I've ever seen a more spiritual moment than an audience in the belly laugh.
My way, with a sock and a shoe on one foot, I could hop around and stay dry.
The soundtrack of my life has been laughter.
And laughter for you is a kind of medicine, isn't it?
Well, I happen to believe it has everything to do with a long life.
And Norman Lear has lived quite a long and remarkable life. He was born 98 years ago in Hartford, Connecticut. When he was 9, his father went to prison for selling fake bonds, and his mother sent him to live with his grandparents. During World War II, Norman flew 52 combat missions over Germany and Italy.
And thinking about death, I don't mind the going. It's the leaving that is the problem for me. Going, who knows what's out there, that it can't be all bad. But leaving, I can't think of anything good about leaving.
Yeah, it's a real loss. I mean, when somebody hits 101 and they pass away, obviously there's a sense of, wow, what a life. And, you know, you can only live so long. It comes, that sunset for all of us. But when you look at his contributions, I mentioned All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons, One Day at a Time. You know, it's so interesting, too, what he did with All in the Family. All in the Family was a pilot that sat there for 3 years. I don't know how many people are familiar with the history of All in the Family, but All in the Family had Carol O'Connor playing Archie Bunker, of course. And maybe you can find some stills, Albert. I think otherwise we're going to get demonetized. I mean, if we get demonetized, it's okay on this. The super stickers and super chats, we still get that. And we've had already a great bit of support in that area. But if you can find some stills of All in the Family, the All in the Family cast, maybe. And then I mention it because it sat there for 3 years. It was originally a pilot for ABC. It ended up on CBS. Carol O'Connor, and then Jean Stapleton played his wife. Jean Stapleton was found on Broadway. She was a Broadway actress, and Norman Lear found her. So she became Edith Bunker. And, I mean, those who saw it and it's still around, it's brilliantly funny. And as I say, just so searing in its commentary on this socio-political situation. And then what was the difference? They shot, I believe, 3 pilots, or at least 2. And you can see Rob Reiner there and Sally Struthers. Those 2 were not in the original pilot. Those 2 were played by other actors in the original pilot and in the first 2. And I think it was the 3rd pilot, the one that went to CBS. That's where they put in Rob Reiner and Sally Struthers. And then that cast went on to make television history. So All in the Family then cut a path for Sanford and Son. Sanford and Son, Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons. The Jeffersons is a spinoff from All in the Family. The Jeffersons were the neighbors of the Bunkers, as you know. And I loved the idea that there was this black family. First of all, in the neighborhood, you had all of this stuff, this racist guy in Archie Bunker. And then you had them moving to this real upscale part of New York, right? And he... there he is. Is it Sherman Hemsley? Is that his, I believe that his name, who played George Jefferson? He's the racist. I mean, in other words, it's the black family that has a lot of the same aspects that Archie Bunker's family had. And all of those characters were just so brilliantly drawn by Norman Lear. It was a terrific time in television where you felt as though you were getting a social commentary, and as I say, and it was so funny. Then from that, actually, All in the Family, Maude came along. Now, Maude was B. Arthur. Again, that was a spinoff from All in the Family. She played Edith's, was it cousin? Something, I forget.
I didn't know Maude was an Archie Bunker spinoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maude was an Archie Bunker spinoff. In fact, she came into the Bunker household. Maude did. It's Maude. I think you know how to spell it, Albert.
Yeah.
If you can grab a picture of B. Arthur or Maude. So she comes in and she's cracking the whip over Archie. And Archie used to be like king of the castle. There she is. That's her on Maude. That's her husband on the show. And Maude was her sister, says John Slade. Okay, thank you. And Maude was all of a sudden bossing Archie around. It was a great way to enter a character into this situation and have her kind of stir the pot. I thought Maude was the cousin. Yeah, thank you, Debbie. Someone. Can we get some clarity on who Maude was and the relation?
Google it.
Anyway, there she is on All of the Family. Thank you, Albert. With Maude B. Arthur looking at essentially, she walks into the situation and she sees Archie bossing around her. I thought it was cousin, or anyway, bossing around Edith, and she starts bossing up. Yeah,
she's Edith's cousin.
Thank you. All right. Thank
An
you,
outspoken
everybody.
liberal feminist who was the antithesis to the bigoted conservative Republican Archie, who described her as a New Deal fanatic.
Exactly. And antithesis is a ding word. Yeah, I absolutely. And here's the thing. There was no sermonizing on the show. Okay, so you got what you got in all of those socio-political human condition moments. You got what you got in the comedy and in the story. There was not this speech at the end that kind of, in any way would suggest sermonizing. It was terrifically done. And ultimately, Norman Lear had the entire thing reinvigorated by Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel and Lear collaborated a few years ago and brought back episodes of All in the Family. They did the original episodes with the original script. So Lear's relevance is, up to the very last moment, right? And then, I'll tell you, I could watch All in the Family, and I could watch any one of these spinoffs for the rest of my life. Just utter brilliance and perfectly, exquisitely acted, performed, and written. A very, very special guy. And by the way, his dad, Norman Lear's dad. And by the way, I should tell you this. I read his autobiography. There's Kimmel and Norman Lear. Wow, thank you, Albert, for rallying that.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah. And Kimmel has to be, look, as I say, somebody's 101 who passes away. I don't care how old you are. I think it's still hard. And I think Lear and Kimmel had a special relationship. But the reality is that Lear was creating all the way to the very end. And as I say, collaborated with Kimmel, and they reinvigorated his shows. They did Good Times. They did All in the Family. And I think they did several others. So there it is, live in front of a studio audience. Different strokes, facts of life. I mean, this is a collaboration that Kimmel and Norman Lear had, and just a brilliant man who will very much be missed. And I recommend his autobiography, which you can listen to if you don't want to read it. It's a good listen to. He reads it. So rest in peace. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.